Yes, so maybe we can start with introductions. So maybe I can ask Yuka and Bilad to introduce themselves.
Okay, hey, thank you. And first of all, thanks for inviting for us here in this webinar. It's our pleasure to come here and discuss with you. My name is Jukka Blomberg. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer on LocalBitcoins, one of the world's leading peer-to-peer Bitcoin marketplaces. And long story short, I have been in the Bitcoin and cryptos for 3-4 years. Very actively, and at the moment I'm overseeing all the LocalBitcoins marketing operations globally.
Yes, and hi everyone, my name is Vlad and I'm also super excited to be here today. It's really exciting. I love doing webinars, love engaging with the community. That's really amazing stuff. I'm the head of business development here at LocalBitcoins, so I've been with the company for just over 2 years already. And yeah, now my focus is on improving the service from the point of view of delivering new products and services that our community asks for.
Thanks for those introductions. Maybe I can also take you a little bit back and you sort of give us a bit of a short history on LocalBitcoins and what you guys are doing at LocalBitcoins.
If I start by giving a brief overview on LocalBitcoins, I'm sure some have heard about us already. So LocalBitcoins is one of the oldest crypto companies in the whole world. If you think about that, Bitcoin, the whole crypto industry is a little bit over 10 years old. Like LocalBitcoins was founded in 2012, so pretty much immediately after the introduction of Bitcoin. So we really have been here almost from the day one. And so since founding LocalBitcoins in 2012, this is actually what I just checked recently. LocalBitcoins effectively at the moment is a platform where people trade Bitcoins with each others. And it was 2013 already that the first Bitcoin trades were made in Kenya on LocalBitcoins platform. So we do have a long history also in Africa and Eastern Africa and Kenya and so forth. But going forward, so LocalBitcoins from 2013 to 2018-19 experienced huge growth. We were doubling our trade volumes every year, and 2019, 2020, there's roughly $3 billion worth of Bitcoin trading in our platform every year. And we have roughly 8 million customers. From these 8 million customers, we made over 20%. And on a monthly basis, we have 600,000 to 800,000 active traders in our platform. So there's lots of things happening there. And we operate in basically in every single country in the world, with the exception of these few countries that are in a sanction lists. But I just recently checked that last year alone, we onboarded customers from over 190 countries. So we are a very global company. So that's kind of briefly from my perspective. I don't know if you want to add there.
Yes, I would not mind adding maybe a few things and a few numbers. And by the way, I see already there are some questions coming in as direct messages. If that's all right, I'd just like to ask, could you please send questions in general chat so our host would then be able to read them out, because we don't sit super close to the computer and we have over an hour reserved for Q&A. So yeah, questions then, and we'll answer every question you guys have. So
we will answer every question.
Literally. So yeah, save your questions for a little bit of time. I think you have hit all the big points about LocalBitcoins history. I think one of the things I personally love most about working here in LocalBitcoins is we're such an international company, not only, in terms of markets over, 190 countries we onboarded customers from. Yeah. But we have 30 plus nationalities here in-house. And I think that's one of the most amazing things because, Finland, it's known for really many things, beautiful design, Santa Claus, the
Yeah.
fun stuff. But maybe mega international companies, not the most kind of known thing. So that's super cool. So proud to be working here. There's 30 plus nationalities. Every other person is from a different place almost. And yeah, I would say Africa is such an important market for us, for our strategy. Just now, as we're looking at, just markets in general, and we see so big growth in Africa and in really, really different countries, not only in the traditional big markets, which is of course Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, but also in smaller countries. So that's really interesting to see, but we'll get in numbers in just a little bit. So yeah, that would be a brief introduction.
All right, great. I think that's a great intro. At least we got a good idea of, the growth and a bit of, what's happening in the space. And I'm pretty sure a lot of the growth has happened over the last 2 years, with COVID and what has been happening. Maybe would you like to share a few numbers around that? How has the growth been over the last 1 year and also in 2021, mostly around Africa?
Yeah, good question. So, how has the growth been in last year and also 2021? So, we all know COVID has hit every single country in the world really hard, and it's been a big event everywhere. And of course, we have lots of people who, for example, have got unemployed or want to make extra income. And one avenue that many have explored, of course, is Bitcoin trading. Also, additionally, we have lots of relatives living abroad, regardless where you live. So sending money to home or relatives abroad through Bitcoin, for example, remittances, that business have grown a lot. So if I look like in a big picture, on 2020, we got roughly 1.7 million new customers, which is roughly 20% increase from 2019. So in terms of getting new customers, the growth is very, very good. Now when I look at on 2021, I just compared the numbers, for example, from Kenya. So on Q1 2021, compared to Q1 2020, we grew over 100% in Kenya. So there is a good continuation. Of course, good to keep in mind that Bitcoin is extremely volatile, and when the Bitcoin price goes up or goes down, it always brings a big seasonality, not only for local Bitcoins, but also for a bigger centralized exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason, the seasonality of Bitcoin. That's why it's good to compare maybe quarters, or then maybe much better than comparing, individual weeks or months, because then one can really see the patterns, and the patterns are really very, very strong growth. If we look at the African continent in general, our volumes on the African continent are roughly 20 to 30 million euros every single month. So 20 to 30 million euros every month. Of course, that fluctuates. Kenya accounts for a big chunk of that at 4 to 5 million, and Kenya is our second largest African market, having just recently overtaken South Africa for the top two. And we of course expect the Bitcoin adoption to continue significantly in Kenya.
And actually to add there, like Kenya is, when looking at numbers, like Kenya, the growth in Kenya, it is stable and it has been growing for a long time, with the seasonalities, of course. But I mean, we can clearly see that the Bitcoin adoption is just have started. There's huge growth potential in Kenya for Bitcoin, which is, of course, is a super good thing.
I think what it tells us, for example, if we're looking across the world and we're seeing such consistent growth in Kenya, it really tells that in Africa, people have really found the true use case for cryptocurrencies. And of course, there are many use cases, but one of the strongest ones are indeed trading, investing as the store of value, as well as, of course, remittances with so many diaspora spread out across the world. So that really tells that, I would say.
Yeah. Overall, like of course, if I look, for example, Europe, many Europeans, they basically just trade or invest. But when I look at Africa, there what we see clearly is that people are actually using Bitcoin for a real life use cases, whether it's to send funds from one country to another or so forth. So there's a lots of creativity and using Bitcoin to solve real world problems, and this is what makes Africa very different and in my opinion very exotic in terms when it comes to the potential of what Bitcoin can bring for different countries.
All right. Thanks for those insights. And it's quite amazing to actually hear that Kenya is one of the largest markets for local Bitcoins on the continent. Again, I know that within the audiences, we have quite a number of traders who use the platform, who are, long-term traders, for quite some time. So maybe at this junction, I would like to ask, as much as Kenya is a big market, maybe you can also touch on the East African market as well. How is the growth, in countries like Uganda, Tanzania, Somalia, Ethiopia, the East African market? Is there any growth? Do you see it having potential? Maybe you can discuss about that as well.
Yeah, so if I start a little bit on the East African numbers, I actually went and checked our last year growth numbers. And if I just start with the new users that have come to local Bitcoins, Kenya, of course, Kenya is big. I mean, let's start from there. Kenya is big. We last year, or year 2020, we got over 50,000 Kenyans registering on local Bitcoins, which is more than 2 times or over 100% increase from 2019. So there is a lot of people coming and being curious about what is Bitcoin, how does it work. So you can really see good traction there. Also, a few other countries where we do, as a starting point, all African countries are growing. And I would actually take it so far, I would say most of the countries in the world are growing in terms of Bitcoin adoption. Bitcoin is still a tool for a very small group of people, whether it's a 1% or whatever from the population, but most people don't necessarily yet know Bitcoin. But looking at some other countries, this is pretty exciting when I was looking at these numbers. For example, Ethiopia. Last year, we got over 10,000 new users from Ethiopia, which is 500% growth from 2019. So there is definitely bigger demand coming from there. We got over 5,000 customers from Uganda, which is roughly 20-30% growth from the year before. We got over 10,000 customers from Tanzania, which is also 20-30% growth, like very, very stable growth. And this is a beautiful, I actually checked, so South Sudan, on 2020, we got 295 customers, and we love them all. It's every single customer is we just doesn't matter what are the numbers. We think that just come to Bitcoin, learn what it is. The future is on cryptos and services built on top of Bitcoin. and other cryptos. Yeah.
Yeah, let's a little bit maybe talk about why people use cryptos in these different countries and take a look a bit at the use cases and just about some interesting recent developments and kind of what we can explain, maybe some volume spikes. We already talked quite some amount about Kenya, but maybe, of course, if we look a little just into why it's happening, I would probably say that COVID pandemic has hit hard, like having hit very hard across the world. Opportunities became much more scarce for normal jobs with all the lockdowns and everything. So unfortunately, youth unemployment is very high. And with a tech-savvy population, trading for profit and for extra or main source of income, of course, becomes a very big use case, big possibility. Then if we look at Tanzania, it's been really on fire this year for trading volumes, while of course numbers nowhere yet close to Kenya, but I'm sure you guys will catch up. If in 2020, roughly 200 to 300,000 a month were trading volumes. Okay. This year, over 500,000 already. So it's really been picking up, I would say. And interestingly, in recent news, the president of Tanzania urged its central bank to prepare that Bitcoin is coming. Hey, so that's interesting.
That's good.
Yeah, is Tanzania about to soon have its El Salvador moment, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see, who knows? Interesting stuff has happened. And of course, unfortunately, Tanzanian shilling has lost 30% of its value in just the last 7 years. So of course, you know, getting paid in Tanzanian shilling must feel quite not good in that regard. And if we look a little bit in Somalia, of course, volumes there are significantly less than in other countries in the region, but it still has gone basically a tenfold, from a few $100s last year in a month to now a few $1,000s. Those trends, they are important, even though they are for small numbers.
Well, I mean, you know, everything starts from zero. Always.
Exactly.
Like every single country which have come to Bitcoin have started from zero.
From just one person who started.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this one. I also was looking our last year's number. So we did get about 2,000 customers from Somalia. Of course, the trade volumes are very small still. But I mean, when you start from almost zero and more people get interested, I mean, let's wait a couple of more years and see. I mean, the numbers can be completely different.
That's how communities start. Communities first need to have a lot of people joining in. Then there is volumes, there is traders who want to do it for income. So the trade, provide liquidity to markets. Of course, markets don't get born immediately. Yeah, but if we talk a little bit about other countries, of course, South Sudan, well, let's see. It's 295 customers. Maybe they will be having their moment a bit later in the year, indeed, as it hasn't been growing as much. And what's also interesting is in just talking the area, its neighbor to the North, Sudan, is also experiencing recently hyperinflation. So we might see changes there potentially happening.
In terms of using Bitcoin as a store of value.
Indeed. By the way, just quickly going back to Somalia, did you, by the way, know that it's so fascinating? Its currency is actually experiencing appreciation against US dollar. How rare is that?
Okay.
Right?
You don't see it always.
You don't see it ever, almost, right? And it seems like it's the immigrants who are returning to Somalia due to the situation improving there. That could be because they're bringing capital, they're bringing know-how to the country, so that's great. But they are also bringing knowledge about Bitcoin, so it's appreciated somewhat, few tens of percent against US dollar in a few years. Bitcoin has appreciated a bit more, I would say.
Okay.
So. But yeah, what other countries to take a look at? Well, if we look Uganda again, Uganda is kind of under the radar if you look in Bitcoin adoption. But still, it stably has $50,000 to $60,000 a month trading volume. That's
and the new user registrations from Uganda also are in a nice growth. Not like a 5x growth, but a nice stable growth. Which always for me the indication is that that's kind of where you build the base. More and more people get interested, the community gets built, and that's how the adoption will start.
And super interestingly, in Uganda, Bitcoin's actually trading at a platform at a premium. So it means there is so many people who want to get Bitcoin, their hands on Bitcoin. It's not that easy. So even though, like when it was at 40,000 Bitcoin, it was trading at 45. So now with a small recent drop to like 35, I would estimate it would be at 40 trading in Uganda. So clearly, if you're from Uganda, you're looking to make some extra money, there's a great opportunity for you to do that by arbitraging some Bitcoin. And I think that roughly covers most of the countries, some interesting insights we hopefully gave our audience.
Okay, maybe Vilad and Juka, it's been a pleasure. Maybe to our audience, we've been chatting with Vilad and Juka for some time. We've always wanted to have them basically for a webinar and chat what's the state of crypto in the continent. I think over the last few weeks, we've had fairly good conversations. Where probably you can highlight on would be when you look at this East African market, how will you compare that to, say, countries like the West African bits where the volumes are a bit higher? In terms of use cases, how do the users, your users on the platform in West Africa, what's the key use case that particular area compared now to the East African market?
Yeah, so what kind of different use cases we see for Bitcoin and local Bitcoins in West versus East, for example? We have been surveying a lot of our users in different countries, and we have even been talking with tens of our traders in different countries in Kenya, Nigeria, and so forth. And we have got quite a good idea how Bitcoin and local Bitcoins is being used in different countries. I would say that overall, in most of the countries, the same use cases, same 5 to 7 use cases exist, but there are different, how would I say, some countries are more focused on certain use cases than others. And if I just kind of look roughly, I mean, it is the case that, for example, in West Africa, whether it's in Nigeria or the neighboring countries, people are using Bitcoin for remittances quite a lot, quite much more than what we see in Eastern African countries. In Eastern African countries, I think one of the core use case that has been coming up is actually trading, so profiting from short-term ups and downs. But having said that, also in Eastern Africa, people use Bitcoin a lot for cross-border money transfers.
Yes, I would tend to agree with your observations, and in general I also think there is only few use cases for Bitcoin that have now been discovered. But of course, just want to say, everything we talk about, just as a disclaimer, is a huge generalization. We're all quite sure that even though we have identified 5 to 7 use cases, remittances, trading, investing, payments, a couple of use cases, of course those are all big ones, but perhaps some people are using Bitcoins for stuff we don't even imagine. So please, by the way, we'd like to hear from you guys. If anyone wants to share some insights, if using Bitcoin for something not covered here, please let us know. It's really interesting for us, because the more we find out about what are the good use cases for cryptos across Africa, the more we can create new services to actually cater to those specific needs, because that's so important, because we cannot build something before people actually tell us this is something we need. That's so important for us.
One thing, if I add there, one thing what is a very, very clear across the countries is that the world is becoming smaller place. There's lots of, it doesn't matter where you live, you can sell services, different kind of services for people in other countries, and the Bitcoin is being used as a payment method. So we see lots of companies who are, for example, buying certain marketing services, or whether it's even just a content production and so forth, and paying with the Bitcoin. So that Bitcoin is definitely replacing PayPal in many places for just paying for services or paying salary.
Just one quick thing I'll say, actually two. First of all, just want to mention, if both the sender and the receiver of the transaction are local Bitcoins users, it's free to send. So that's really cool stuff. So because transactions between our wallets are free. So that's nice, I think. So feel free to take advantage of that. If, for example, you're working for someone and get paid in Bitcoins, tell them, hey, just sign up for local Bitcoins. You can send for me for free. So that's cool. And another thing it's interesting really to think how the world's getting smaller despite this pandemic, so it really thinks that even though pandemic will change the way we act and feel, it doesn't change the fact that we all want to be together. So that's exciting, and that's really great stuff.
Thanks, Juka and Vlad, for the insight. Maybe the other thing that you had mentioned earlier was, I think when you speak of adoption, you really can't forget things around regulation, how the guys on the policy side think about some of these new technologies. I think, of course, when you look at it from a policy standpoint, some of them will still view it as a threat to the traditional way of payments and currency. And not as many countries have proper regulations or proper policies to see the adoption of currency. And I think earlier you spoke about Tanzania's president, Madam Suluhu, asking the central authorities their regulators to study and see how it becomes easier to adopt crypto. I think with the good news from El Salvador, this good news from Tanzania, do you think we could see the same across other markets across the continent? And one of the things that we've always chatted together with Vlad is around, in the world of crypto, a year is like a day. Things move extremely very fast. And how soon do we expect some other countries to come on board and put in place regulations around adoption of such technologies?
Yeah, about cryptocurrency regulation and governmental adoption across the world. Actually, it's funny. I've actually been just thinking this morning that actually when we had a webinar a few months ago, when it was Christmas, so just not that long ago, we were almost jokingly saying, hey, maybe next year we might see, we knew that we're going to see more institutional adoption. But I half jokingly said, maybe even some governmental adoption. Well, little did we know that was going to happen in the upcoming year, just because that was when we were just about to celebrate the year. So yeah, it's a very interesting trend, and most certainly El Salvador is not going to be the last country, at least in my view, to adopt Bitcoin. But if we look at the regulation in general, we of course do know that Africa does tend to have one of the more prohibitive regulations as far as cryptocurrencies. When we compare it to, for example, Latin America, which Latin America has one of the most permissive regulations for cryptocurrencies in the world. So in Africa, of course, we do see a lot of positive trends I think it was just the other day, was it in Tunisia, where they mentioned that, okay, we're not going to send young people to prison for using Bitcoin. So they are going to repeal that law, which bans cryptocurrency usage and ownership. So we do see, even though currently maybe the landscape isn't the most friendly, perhaps the next El Salvador is going to be in Africa. Who knows? Let's see. Of course, already a lot of countries such as Paraguay, Panama, Brazil, they're already sending signals, but indeed, world moves fast. Who knows who's going to be the next one, right?
Yeah, good point. And if I quickly add there, so having a country to adopt Bitcoin, I expect that will happen, but I didn't expect that it would happen so soon. Now, of course, when we have one country has adopted Bitcoin, it is pretty clear that more countries will follow the suit. Which country is next? I have no clue. But overall, in terms of regulation of cryptocurrencies, like we do welcome regulation. LocalBitcoins is regulated by the Finnish and European financial authorities. And what we believe is that, first of all, you need to be open for cryptocurrencies, but for cryptocurrencies to really get mass adopted, there needs to be rules, and similar rules that you have, for example, for other financial services. And this is, of course, mainly to protect end users and customers from different kind of funny setups. So we do believe that there's increasingly regulation is coming in the crypto world. We welcome it as long as it doesn't put stop for all the great innovations happening on top of cryptocurrencies. And overall, I think this is just going to speed up. We have more and more countries adopting Bitcoin or embracing Bitcoin. So of course, at the same time, the countries will need to put certain regulations on place. That's kind of the key for being able to adopt cryptocurrencies.
All right, great. Yeah, adoption is taking place. We can't wait to hear, one country in Africa being among the ones to sort of, recognize Bitcoin. Hopefully it's Tanzania or hopefully Kenya as well. Let's see how that goes. Now, we have so many questions. I think we'll look at them in the next 20 minutes or so. Maybe at this point, I would like to ask you, I know that we discussed a while back about an upcoming website revamp and some, mobile applications. I know a lot of people are excited about that. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that as well.
Well, I could briefly mention a few things. So obviously, our website, it needs a refresh. It needs to be refreshed. It needs to be completely revamped for all the different use cases and needs our customers have. And we have been working for over a year. And now on Q3, we will be releasing a completely new website for LocalBitcoins. You will be amazed when you see it. It's a one beautiful website. And even before that, well, this will happen also in Q3, but earlier, we are talking about July, August latest. So we have been building our first mobile applications for Android and iPhone. So completely new user experiences for using our service, and we will be releasing those in a few months. And I mean, mobile application has been probably the most asked feature from LocalBitcoins by our customers. And we have made sure that we really, now when we are launching the application, it really is polished and meets all the needs of our users.
I think it's important that we always do that when we rather take a little bit longer but get something done really well, make sure it's not buggy and everything. So I think that's good. I just will very quickly discuss a little bit what to expect from us even in the future going forward. And do forgive me for being vague, but of course we don't want to tell everything exactly and spoil the fun anticipation of very interesting updates that you will be seeing from our company. Let's say the interesting stuff that will be happening within a year from this point or so. Well, of course, we know that Bitcoin is not cryptocurrencies, not all cryptocurrencies, not by market cap, not by any other measure, not by use cases that it can offer. Other cryptocurrencies also exist, we acknowledge that, and that is somewhere where we are going to go. Let's put it that way. We also are looking for ways to make trading even easier for the people, make the purchasing process even easier. That's something we're really, really focused on, how to make that flow easier, how to make the buying process more effortless. So we are going to be having solutions for that. And of course, we have big use cases such as remittances, such as trading, such as investing, that people are a lot like using Bitcoin a lot, and we are looking to expand our offering in all of those areas as well. Not gonna tell the specifics yet, so stay tuned. We will be revealing in our future videos, webinars, information about this stuff happening. But app and new website, stay tuned. Few months.
Those are just behind the corner.
Just behind the corner.
Hey, great, Vlad. I think speaking of a new mobile app, I think it's something that you guys, the team at LocalBitcoins, I know they're excited about. I think in addition to the new mobile app, one of the things that maybe you can add on will be even touching on trying to trump up a few questions from our users. We have so many questions. I think someone is asking plans to come up with a mobile app for use for trading. Perfect, you mentioned that. Maybe something that you can touch on, for most people don't know about what comes with the new website and the new mobile app. The educational tools that will be available for new users, for people will be using both the new app and the mobile app. the web and the mobile app?
Yeah, of course, regarding a little bit about educational tools that we have available, we do recognize the need to educate the community about cryptocurrencies and about what they are, what they do, what to do with them, and of course about also the risks they carry. That's also important. So actually for what we do education-wise, well, one big thing I want to invite you guys to do, would appreciate if someone could post the link, is do please follow us on YouTube. We release educational content there several times a week on YouTube, and we plan to do that even more. We talk about Bitcoin, we talk about adoption in different countries, we talk about other cryptocurrencies that are already supported as payment methods on our platform. Of course, we appreciate the need to be able to go more as far as educational content goes, and we will be adding a lot of content on our upcoming website.
Yeah, that's definitely one key area, and I would say largely, I mean, we all know that some years back when we bought our first Bitcoins, I mean, when I bought my first Bitcoins years back, I mean, I was actually scared, like just scared that what will happen here? Is this a scam? Do I lose my money? Well, and anyway, what is this Bitcoin anyway?
Yeah.
And integrating all the educational materials and support onto our service. So when user have a question mark, there's always a good amount of information available. And overall, I think, I guess most of us here in this webinar understand Bitcoin pretty well. But I mean, if we just go randomly and stop 10 people from the street and ask what is Bitcoin, hardly anyone know. They'd probably say it's some kind of internet money, or I don't actually know what they would say at the moment, but there's a lot to do to educate users in every single country in the world.
Yeah.
We're just in the beginning.
We are, and that's of course the most exciting thing, that we are just in the beginning. What is it? According to estimates, only 100 million people use Bitcoin as of now, out of almost 8 billion people who live on this planet. So that's really just starting. I actually have a feeling that if you ask here 10 people, here in Finland, where we are based, ask 10 people on the street what's Bitcoin, I think actually fewer of them might know than if you ask in Kenya, I have a feeling, because
Could be.
So that's
Could
interesting.
be.
Maybe we should do that at some point, record that kind of, run that kind of experiment.
To ramp on one more question, then I think, David, you can continue. I think most of the questions that we see from the chat are around education. There's a question from Julia Someka who says that, are you planning to set up a LocalBitcoins African community so that we can feel always at home? And in addition to that, someone is asking about what LocalBitcoins is doing, given the evolving changes around this area, to bring so that you can have web-based apps, Telegram bots, etc. That's around. Maybe you can combine the question around the African-based community and introducing Telegram bots maybe at some point. And the other one is, how do you make it easier for the affiliate people to join via affiliate program? They're saying your current affiliate program is a bit complex in a way. How do you make it easy and user friendly, hence promoting local Bitcoins and creating a stream of income for African youths?
If I start with the affiliate, that is just so super good question and timely for myself at the moment, and maybe Vlad, you can then go for the community. I have been personally talking with 15 to 20 of our bigger affiliates within last year, and the feedback is very clear that we need renewal. And we have been planning few things. Of course, with when our new website comes out, there will be also affiliate improvements. I give you a few examples. For example, the analytics tools that we provide for our affiliates will be much better than they are currently. So you can really track where your customers come from if you are, for example, having several different blogs. Additionally, at the moment, we only pay out affiliate commission in Bitcoin. Obviously, we are a Bitcoin company, but we do recognize that some of our affiliates, they would like to use certain affiliate networks that are being used also for other services that pay, for example, in fiat currencies. But to summarize, we have a few clear steps, and there's a few clear improvements coming quite shortly with our new website. Having said that, we will still need to keep on improving the affiliate program. And if there are few of our affiliates, and if you have concrete ideas, maybe my email could be shared there. Like, please send me email directly on the things that you think that we should do that would be definitely like beneficial for African affiliates. I really would appreciate them, and if possible, we will do them for you.
Yes, and I've actually seen that our Twitter accounts were shared, so that's really good. So do please, guys, follow us on Twitter and do DM us, if you have any kind of ideas now or later on that we will definitely consider. I think that's super, super important. So just to talk a little bit about the community, obviously our community is super, super important to us, and we're very open to hearing different ideas how we can engage with our community, particularly, of course, our African user community. Now, of course, COVID is an unfortunate reality that we wish we could be there, for example, speaking somewhere face to face, but sadly with the COVID reality, that proves to be a little bit difficult. But now situation, I think, doesn't look as bad anymore soon, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Just to add there one thing, just before COVID, over a little bit over 1 year ago, we made a big plans so that LocalBitcoins employees would be much more present in Africa, and we would be also traveling a lot in Africa, talking with our users and our communities, basically being present in Africa. But of course now COVID completely changed those plans. But let's hope that we get rid of COVID. We will be both being present there just by traveling and meeting our communities much more, and we definitely will also get several partners building our communities in Africa, and especially getting the feedback from local communities on what we can do better to serve our users.
So I think that is really key, that we want to be there for the community. And please, if any of you in the audiences really have some kind of ideas how we can be for the community more, want to invite us to go somewhere, well, hopefully soon, please let us know. We're always very open to hear.
I'm looking forward to travel in Africa.
Same.
I have never been.
Same. Maybe Kenya will be our first destination.
Hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. We would love to have you guys come to Kenya. I'm sure you're going to love it. And it's funny that you talk about, COVID. I see somebody mentioned here the irony that the pandemic brought us closer together. So it's quite ironical. I have an interesting question here. So someone is asking, will LocalBitcoins offer options to exchange with other cryptos like USDT? I know you guys recently launched other coins on the platform. Maybe you can also talk about that and the possibility of exchanging.
Yeah, if I start, so will LocalBitcoins be offering also other cryptocurrencies? At the moment, like, we provide Bitcoin and Bitcoin wallets, but you can trade Bitcoin against other cryptocurrencies and other cryptocurrencies against Bitcoin, the peer-to-peer fashion. Now, what we definitely have been talking a lot with our customers, and one request that comes time after time, in addition to refreshing our website and bringing mobile applications, is that they want us to support more and more cryptocurrencies. Without making any announcements, we definitely listen to our customers, and we will be bringing some exciting stuff out within a year.
Yes, just to add also, like I said, we're not Bitcoin maximalists. We are very, very open to exciting new stuff. We don't believe that Bitcoin equals crypto. There is a lot more exciting stuff there. The fact that we brought some cryptocurrencies already now as payment tags, let's say, it's just a step, first step, let's put it that way, just a small little start. A lot of exciting stuff is happening indeed. Within a year, there will be a lot of stuff, let's put it that way.
So there are demand for different kind of cryptocurrencies for various different reasons. And obviously, if our customers demand, we will answer for that one. To kind of put it really.
To put it nicely, but without making any official announcements. Hopefully that's good, guys.
All right. Yes. And just following up on the same question, someone is asking, where do you see, or what is the future of P2P platforms? How do you see them looking like in the next 2, 3, or 5 years?
That is a very good question. So how do we see peer-to-peer platforms going forward to 2 to 5 years? At the moment, if I look, for example, Western countries and so forth, they have been moving more towards centralized exchanges. But of course, I mean, peer-to-peer trading still exists. For example, in Europe is a big market for us for various reasons where we can soon go. The thing with centralized exchanges often is that you can only buy Bitcoins with, for example, certain bank accounts or credit cards. So the options are quite limited. Now with the peer-to-peer, the beautiful thing is that you can use pretty much any payment method, any currency, and there will always be always demand for peer-to-peer somewhere around the world. And now whether that market will it be growing or declining, that's also another very good question. I myself believe that it will be growing, and some of the indications are that companies such as Binance, which basically are centralized exchanges, have also introduced peer-to-peer models, and more also other centralized exchanges have introduced peer-to-peer models, and they wouldn't be doing that if this market would be declining. Also, when we talk about real life use cases, for example, sending money sending funds from one country to another, it's the peer-to-peer model is by far the superior to do that kind of things. So I do believe that the peer-to-peer market will be good, it will be growing, but there will be various kind of players. So it's not only that there are any more some centralized exchange, some peer-to-peer company, and some other DeFi crypto company, but all of these will be more or less mixing, and I would see that there will be increasingly different kind of partnerships, because this is, as said, we have barely scratched the surface in this crypto market. This is not a market where if I win a bit, it is away from our opponent. This is a market which is growing, like we can all keep on growing, and we can keep on growing for years to come. So I think peer-to-peer is here to stay. It may change its form. It might be popular now in certain countries, and it's in future it's popular in other countries. But as a model, I mean, Bitcoin itself, it's peer-to-peer. It's a peer-to-peer cash or peer-to-peer money. Let's start from there. So peer-to-peer as a use case, I think the future is increasingly peer-to-peer.
Okay, yes. So let me add a few remarks, maybe not 100% with you on this one. How would I put it there? I do believe also fundamentally the market is really growing. The cryptocurrency market, we really are just at the very start. I'm not going to make bold predictions whether peer-to-peer is going to grow or is going to decline or is not going to be there. I'm going to be quite frank, because we don't know what the markets holds, because to make bold predictions about the markets, that's sometimes exciting, but it's the same as making predictions about the Bitcoin price. Everyone was predicting we would hit $100,000 at this point. Well, we haven't. So I'm not going to make bold predictions. I would say that as of now, I also do strongly believe in various type of partnerships in terms of companies. Peer-to-peer offers a very good on-ramp to financial services, especially in countries which hold a currency plagued by, for example, hyperinflation. The reason for it is there is demand for that currency, but it's only in the local population. So it's only those local brokers who can basically come to peer-to-peer platforms, be market makers, and basically just be brokers, but in a peer-to-peer fashion, so through some peer-to-peer exchange. So in countries where so there is that kind of demand for peer-to-peer as an on-ramp. As to the demand for peer-to-peer in as other things, let's see what the future holds for us. My view here about this one.
Great. Speaking of these additional use cases of crypto, and I think one of the things that you cannot ignore, I think some of these emerging things like how do you stake and earn an extra, how do you use that to borrow? Maybe are you guys thinking of now adding some of these maybe DeFi projects on top of your platform?
About adding additional services, like I mentioned, we are not here to make any announcements about what's going to happen in the future, because a lot of things are, let's say, they're in the planning stages, what is going to happen. And I think not really up to making, let's say, a bold promising that that's going to be by that kind of a point. The reason for it is we want to hear from the community what other services that are needed. Every time people ask us the kind of questions, that always sends a good bell. Okay, that's something that could be potentially interesting to our customers.
If I add there a little bit, so obviously, I mean, trading Bitcoin was one of the first use cases, or hodling, or whatever you want to call it. But the cryptos are used increasingly to create real world services on top of them, real world financial services, and that there is a clear demand. And obviously, we will be answering that demand. I'm not gonna say exactly how, but I mean, it's there's gonna be increasingly different kind of financial services built on top of cryptocurrencies.
Maybe something that maybe you can, that I thought it could we take a few minutes to touch on would be for the guys who are getting in at this moment. And you know, when it comes to crypto, the easiest way to get in is through the decentralized, which is through P2P platforms. Maybe for people who don't know, who want to trade crypto, most people think I think most people here, or the normal guys think, for you to get in, you have to say, of course, create an account, then fund that through a wallet using the fiat currency, but which is not the case. Maybe you can take a few minutes, both of you, and explain to the basic, to the man on the street. If I wanted to get started on local Bitcoin, what's the easiest way to get started? From creation of an account, from buying and selling, I'm assuming even if you got in at a smaller price, wait for that to appreciate. Like, what's the easiest way for anyone to get in?
Yeah, so about how to get started with local Bitcoins. Actually, I'll walk quickly through the journey from getting started to first purchase, and you guys are going to be surprised how freaking easy that is. So first of all, of course, you need to sign up for an account. Without signing up for an account, you can't really do anything. So first you need to select your username, and think smartly about the username, as it's going to be visible to your trading counterpart. So you select your username, you come up with a password, choose a difficult one, please, for your own security. So choosing a password, then agreeing to our terms of service privacy policy. Do please take a look, indeed, what is there. Then after that, super simply, you'll need to verify your phone number, so just the phone number. And after that, you will need to verify your email and answer a few super simple questions. After email verify, phone verify, and few simple questions, questions that we ask you as we are a regulated financial entity. After you do that, boom, you already got the account. Isn't that simple? It's like 5 minutes, the sign up flow. Now, with that account, you can already buy, but you don't have, let's say, full features of your account unlocked. You can't yet create ads and you don't yet have a fully functional wallet. So, and your pool of the people from whom you can buy, pool of the sellers is a little limited. If you want to get immediately access to a bigger pool of buyers, what we advise is go and do the full verification of your account, what we call the tier 1. It's super easy. You just need to take a selfie of yourself. Then you need to take a selfie of your ID. For example, in Kenya, we accept the ID card. So you just snap a picture of yourself, picture of your ID. It gets through our verification system and few super quick questions. Process takes like 10 minutes. So with that, you have a higher limit and you have access to even greater pool of buyers. But the whole process, super simple, super straightforward, and it's going to get even simpler and more clear in the future.
It's super simple, fast. I'll make it, I'll say the same thing as Vlad with a few words. So create your account will take 5 minutes. Then I suppose in Kenya, you probably like to use M-Pesa. So we have a list of advertisements for selling Bitcoin. So choose advertiser who have lots of trades, good reputation, and accepts M-Pesa, and then click buy Bitcoins and go through the process. And then you will have the Bitcoins on your local Bitcoins wallet.
And you know what I want to do is every time we talk about this, there's always a question. How do I make sure I don't get scammed? I just want to. How do I make sure it's not going to happen that I just send the fiat funds and then how do I make sure I'll get the Bitcoins? Well, we have a mechanism, it's called escrow. What that basically means is the moment you open a trade, the Bitcoins from the seller's wallets get deposited in that so-called escrow account. So essentially, they're there till both sides agree that each of the sides met their end of the bargain. So it's there to protect both the buyer and the seller. So they stay there until either the seller has really received the payment, confirmed, hey, yeah, got the money, and then they release it from escrow to the buyer. Or, if something goes a little bit wrong and, something goes a bit funny, one can always just click on a button and say, hey, I did pay, but this person is not releasing. And then our staff is going to take a look, check the evidence, and all is good. So basically, even if something goes just slightly sideways and, you seem to be dealing with a funky person, you can always just open up and our staff will be always super quick, super happy to help you out with that. So hopefully that answers how to get started. Super easy, super fast, and it's very secure.
All right. Thanks for that quick walkthrough. Bilad, maybe along those questions also, someone is asking, how do I recover a stolen or lost LocalBitcoins account?
Yeah, I can, talk about how to get back a stolen or lost LocalBitcoins account. It's super easy. You would just need to open up a support ticket and just indicate the username of the account in question. Then our support team will identify and immediately lock that account so nothing can happen with it. So it's there safely waiting for you. And after that, they will, of course, ask you to do some proof that that's you, proof that you're the owner of the account. So they'll ask you for your selfie with your document, just to make sure that yes, that's you and it's not someone falsely claiming it. Might ask you for additional information regarding the account, and once they have done that, they will basically walk you through the process, like to change email, and then it will instruct you what to do to get in the account, change password, etc. So rather straightforward process.
All right, great. Yeah, I think that should get everyone started. It's really easy. I think I have a question here that came on email. I would love to ask this. So someone asked, what do you think is limiting adoption across the African continent, considering that there's massive internet penetration now? When you compare 10 years ago and now, I think internet penetration has grown substantially across the continent. What do you think needs to be done to see massive, for example, crypto adoption on the continent?
Yeah, if I start, so what is holding back or how to get a massive crypto adoption in Africa. First of all, I don't think that anything is holding back. When I look at the numbers, the adoption speed in Africa is faster than I think it's faster than pretty much anywhere else at the moment in terms of growth percentages. So from that perspective, nothing is holding back. And Africa is growing really nicely for the adoption. Of course, I mean, if you think about cryptos in general, like as I said, globally, we just have scratched the surface. It's a very small amount of people who own cryptos or have ever even bought or sold or used. So the adoption is the adoption is very small in that sense everywhere. Now, in Africa, of course, I mean, to get into the crypto world, in the Bitcoin world, all you need basically is internet access and a smartphone, which most people have access nowadays. So from that perspective, and when using peer-to-peer services like LocalBitcoins, you can pretty much buy Bitcoins with any currency, any payment method, anywhere. So there really aren't that much holding back from technical side. But as we have been discussing a lot, Bitcoin is a new scary thing for many. I do remember when I bought my first Bitcoins, I was a little bit scared because I didn't really know what it is. And I had lots of these things going in my mind that maybe I'll lose my money now. Obviously now it sounds ridiculous because now I know this space so well. So maybe it comes back to educating and raising the awareness and educating about Bitcoin and cryptos and all the great things they can do. I mean, that might be the catalyst for a bigger adoption.
Yeah, and I'll just like to add a few things, and I want to compare cryptocurrencies as an invention and the blockchain technologies with another transformative invention of the last few decades, which is the internet itself. The internet itself, when was the time it had 100 million users? I think it was right about 1997, so right about the time I was born or so. It had 100 million users. Now the internet has billions of users across the world. So it took the internet some time because it's actually quite an old invention. It was sometime in the 80s, American military, or even older American military started playing around. 60s, even 60s, but then very slowly. So if we compare how long it took from internet to get first from almost nothing to then something already, okay, some people are using it maybe like early 90s or so, some people, then to 100 million users, so that's already a significant milestone. So that took quite some time. Bitcoin made the journey from 0 to 100 million users in 100 million I think was pressed last year. So this was quite fast. So internet it was actually slower to be adopted than Bitcoin. So nothing's holding back the crypto adoption across the world. Indeed, it's actually going on extremely fast. These are just cycles of adoption.
And
so just
if I quickly add there in the end, if you think about, well, obviously this market will grow a lot, the adoption will grow a lot. But if the adoption grows 10 times from current one, it still means that only 1 in 10 roughly in the world have used cryptos. So I mean, there's a huge potential, and this, even though the adoption is fast, it will still take years and years that we get to the point that, for example, 10% of the global population have used any services, for example, that are built on top of cryptos. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it happens even faster, but
well, with how things are happening nowadays, it wouldn't be surprising. But of course, if we talk 100 million people, that sounds like a lot, but then it's half of the population of Nigeria. So that's actually not that much. So indeed, there's a really long way to go. So nothing's holding it back for sure.
All right, great. Thanks for those insights. I think we can talk all day about adoption and what's happening. But it's quite exciting to see what's happening on the continent. I think from your side, you can obviously see how the growth is happening. You're in a much better position to see the adoption. So on the ground, we can also see that. We can see actual use cases like you mentioned. So yeah, it's quite exciting to see what happens. And maybe as we wind up, I would like to maybe ask if you can, sort of give your closing comments on what you see happening in future for Africa. What's your vision? What does Local Bitcoins hope to achieve on the continent or to help? And possibly, a bit of your personal views as well on adoption on the continent.
If I quickly start, so I do think that Africa has a very bright future, especially when it comes for different kind of financial services that are being built on top of cryptos. We haven't seen anything yet. I see that the adoption will be fast. It will be surprise. Like Africa is one of those places that will actually show the way for the rest of the world what can be done with the cryptos. In terms of local bitcoins, Africa is a super important market for us. We tend to increase our presence there, and as I said, once we pass get over this COVID, we definitely will increase our presence in Africa significantly from the current one. Personally, I always wanted to travel to Africa. It's just one of the amazing continent. It's just a rich nature, everything. I really hope I can soon be there, meeting our community. And very last one, like the key here is the community. Like Local Bitcoins alone, like we just can't. What we need our community to tell us what is needed, how we are serving you. Are we doing a bad job, good job? What should we do differently? For example, this affiliate example, like the community is key to everything. And we need you guys. We want to build a good community in Africa.
Yeah, so let me just add a few words here. In my view, Africa is an extremely unique continent. It's a continent in such a unique position. And the reason for it is that it has so many young people. That is so unique, and that's the feature not seen on any other continent in the world. In many African countries, the median age is roughly 18. There are hundreds of millions of kids right now in Africa who are growing up. This century, the African continent is going to be pretty much on par with Asia as to how many people live on it. Nigeria, for example, is estimated in the next decade or so to surpass the United States as the third most populous country in the world, and is expected to have something like 700 million people by the end of the century. So Africa has so much human capital, so much untapped human capital. That is why, in my view, that is a continent that has so much potential, and cryptocurrencies is something that really helps to unlock it. That's with that amazing new technology, where, for example, you can be living in one place, working in a different place, don't need to be there, all the time. The world is actually, funny enough, indeed getting closer. I can't wait for how it's going to be. Smaller. Then also past pandemic, when we can all also meet and go to different places face to face. But the potential is there. There is the know-how. There is a lot of young people, and there will be hundreds of millions more young people in the next few decades. There are smart people, there are tech-savvy people. So I feel like the future for Africa is super bright, not only as far as crypto adoption, but in general, the future for the continent is super bright. We will soon here in Europe be learning from Africa as far as technology goes. And indeed, can't wait to go. Can't wait to go once the situation with COVID gets better and learn more from our community there on the ground.
All right. Yeah. I have to say this as we close. It's great to hear that perspective from Local Bitcoins and how you look at Africa. It's also great to hear that you see this as a long-term investment across the continent. And maybe Eric has any parting?
Not really much, David. Vilad and Juka, it's really a pleasure sharing insights to the people who are keen on get into the space. From the chat, I see most people who attended are actually traders. People who are actively trading, looking for how do they increase their trading activity in the market. I think this could be current traders. I think people are looking to make extra more income around affiliate programs. The good thing is that it's excited that you mentioning about the projects and the plans for local Bitcoins in this particular continent. I think that's huge. After maybe something that we can also tell our users, the people who have tuned in, is that the video will be shared on YouTube, both on Bitcoin KE YouTube page and on Kenyan Wall Street YouTube page after this. And then you can also share that with your friends, colleagues, family, people that you think would like to listen to the insights that were shared. It's fascinating that, in Kenya, a question I think that something that we've always discussed with David, when you compare to how our country, say, when it comes to trading of financial instruments, we have say around 3 major products that people trade. There's cryptocurrency, we have the forex market, and then we have the stock market. Bitcoin is crypto, and Bitcoin is fairly new, but over the last 1 year, we have more Kenyans trading crypto than forex and crypto combined. In total, our stock market is quite old. I think our stock market began in around 1963. The automation of that happened around 2006. Now moving to the online channels, maybe beyond 2010, but still we have more than more than 2 million investor accounts. But in terms of activity, we have, say, less than 30,000 active investors in our local stock market. When you add the crypto numbers, extremely huge. The growth on crypto, extremely huge. When you look at, I think from the estimates, about 5 million euros in turnover on local Bitcoins alone, which is like one of the largest. I think that's quite huge compared to this other mainstream. And the thing is, we are fairly at the earliest, we've barely scratched the surface. And I think I'm really excited about the future, and I believe this is just the start of a very good partnership with local Bitcoins. Not even from our own perspective, say companies that we work for, but I think to educate the public, I think the future is very bright in this space, and really excited to work with local Bitcoins going forward in the nearby future, and even when they'll be launching in the African market, getting the roots ready. We'll be more than happy to help you guys and work together. Thanks.
Thank you, Vilad. Thank you, Juka, for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. It was truly a pleasure to be here talking about this.
Thank you.